What's happening, everybody? Hope everybody's having a fantastic whatever day you're watching this. So, 2024 Mustang GT. We got to talk about it, guys. This is going to be the last flag bearer, at least for the time being anyway, for the internal combustion engine. What are your thoughts on that? How does that make you feel, Mopar fans, Chevy fans, if there's any of you guys lurking around out there? How does it make you feel knowing that this is going to be what you have to look forward to, and more importantly, what you're going to be looking up at as far as the one that's carrying the torch for your internal combustion engine, for the enthusiasts that are out there, for the guys that are looking to actually do something with their cars? This is it. Mustang GT is going to be the last one that you can buy brand new. And I got to tell you guys, I'm all right with that. Look, I started out life as a Ford fan. I didn't really even think about Dodge all that much when it came down to actually finding something to build as a car. It just didn't ever show up to the party, so to speak. When I was younger, Mopar just wasn't the first thing that you thought of when you thought of performance, at least accessible performance. It was always something Chevy or Ford. Well, the Mustang had always been there, and then fast forward to when the Camaro wasn't. See, you got to remember, there's a lot of folks that don't, how do I put this? There's a lot of folks that don't see Chevrolet kindly for them getting rid of the 4th gen Camaro. The 5th gen's a great car, but there was never a stopgap measure. And because of that, a lot of the Chevy guys went to Ford as well. And look, all for good reason, but the fact is, these are the cars that guys grew up driving, living with, seeing on the street, being impressed by. The problem that you're going to see is when you're talking about the fact that you don't have an enthusiast platform after 2024. You don't have anything to talk about. I mean, yeah, you'll have aftermarket support for the 5.7 and the 6.4 and for the Hellcats. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about for the guys that want to actually buy a car or that want to carry on an internal combustion engine platform for any real length of time. So saying that, well, look at what Mopar did. That stillborn excuse of a release that they did basically turned how many droves of Mopar fans away from the brand? Is there a way to get a ROI on that? Like a return of investment? I mean, I don't know how that works. What's the negative ROI that they got from that 3-day debacle that they put out in the middle of for everybody to see? Put out on display quite literally in the worst possible way possible. Redundant. So think about it from Chevrolet's point of view now. Chevrolet has nothing to report after 2024 with the Camaro, save for some special editions, whatever that's supposed to mean. But now they're talking about, well, we're going to replace the Camaro with a 4-door sedan, throw up all over your freaking self sedan. Are you kidding me? And the thing is, it doesn't matter how fast it is, that EV, whether it's Dodge or Chevrolet. See, here's the thing. I saw a really cool quote. Can't remember where I found it, but it goes a little something like this. Would you rather have your hamburger grilled or microwaved? That's the difference between internal combustion engine and EV. And I've never seen anybody standing around a microwave with a kiss the cook apron on. It doesn't quite work like that. You know, microwaves are typically not all that sexed up, if you know what I mean, but a grill, it's got a little something going for it, and that's the internal combustion engine. That's where Ford is going to shine, and shine in a way that is, again, let me reset. Ford doesn't have to do this. Y'all understand this. Ford is doing what Ford does best, which is cater to the enthusiast. Let me explain to you what I mean. Ford has already released that Mustang. You know, the one that everybody got so pissed off about? Ford's already released that thing, and the people that own them apparently like them quite a bit. I see them buzzing around here and there. Interesting looking thing, but a crossover type, whatever it is, but it's still an EV. But Ford's already got their EV. They're rocking out with the Mustang when they don't have to. They could have just as easily said, you know what, we've got our EV, we're going to focus on that platform, we're going to carry that forward, we'll be the first to have a fast EV and y'all follow us. Instead, they did a complete 180 on that mentality. They said, oh, everybody's going EV? Yeah, remember when we were the only game in town? While we were the only game in town, we still kept advancing the product. Again, Ford, with no comparative competition, released the '03 Lightning into the world. The vehicle, by the way, that kickstarted the new horsepower wars that we lived through for about, well, coming up on 20 years. That is the catalyst. Ford was the catalyst in that. Then they brought us the Termi Cobra in 2003 and 2004. 2007 got us into the GT500, a car, by the way, which is a hell of a lot more important than you guys may give it credit for. That 07, 8, 9, 10 GT500 ushered in the resurgence or the rebirth of the big block power numbers that you hadn't seen for decades leading up to this. 500 horsepower, 500 pound-feet of torque, true 11-second car from the factory, and now we've got something to talk about, albeit with a manual transmission only, but that's okay. You had the Lightning if you wanted an automatic. This is something that was unbelievably cool at the time. Now, no competition leading up to the ZL1, followed up by the Hellcat in 2015. 14 technically. So you understand where I'm coming from when I say that Ford is used to carrying this flag solo for the enthusiast and has been doing so for forever. Now that what I will call the also rans with the Camaro and the Challenger checking out, now you are going to have a car that is going to be basically a mass market, cold-blooded killer on the streets. 500 horsepower, twin throttle bodies across the board, and that's for the GT. The Dark Horse takes it a step further with forged internals, which they didn't have to do. Again, they didn't have to do this. They have no competition, and they're throwing the freaking wood at it. How much more can Ford do for the enthusiast? I mean, they're setting the bar that absolutely nobody tried to follow. Hey, Dodge, this is how you keep generating future generational sales. Not being so myopic, which is a fart-smelling word for short-sighted. Not being such a myopic, complete douchehead for sticking with this marketing campaign, whatever with that. Because meanwhile, Mustang and Ford are living it, not preaching and marketing and propagandizing this brotherhood, this advertisement bombardment that you get with these things sliding around corners, smoking tires and acting like complete fools. Mustang's going, yeah, do that thing, whatever. Yeah, nice sales thing too. You're a niche market, but we're going to keep doing what we're doing while you're not doing what you're doing. And we're going to announce it. And it's going to be out into the world as the 2024 model year car. And we're going to bring this to you at a price of $37,000. Kidding me? 37 large for a $5 ride that will run low 11s. Think I'm full of shit? Think again. Because I was first on target when back in 2018, I was talking about this 10-speed automatic's going to be a game changer, lots of power, lots of potential. Look at what we're up to. It's going to be a 1160 car. And one of the first guys to throw a drag pack on a Mustang and sent it was an 1160 car. Uh-oh. Now we're talking about 500 horsepower. You already have guys running 10s with not much done to these cars at all. Get ready for more of the same. And listen, for anybody that is concerned about where the pricing is going to go, yeah, they're probably all going to walk around at about $42,000 to $45,000. The dark horse slated to be somewhere around, I think it was 65 grand. So yeah, there is going to be some meandering of price points. But here's the reality. It'll be a price point on a car that has no competition. Where's your Challenger? Where's your Camaro? Where's your... Oh, wait. That's it. There weren't any before, and now there aren't any now. This is M4 class type of performance. And it's in a package that you can just meander over to your Ford dealership and pick up along the way home. That's the one that I'm kind of concerned about. That Ford Mustang that you can still buy versus the other cars that you can't. And this is not to say that your Challenger or that your Camaro is now obsolete. It's not. Like I said in the video that I released specifically about the new Mustang GT, it only means that it is an admission. It's probably a better way of putting it. I probably should have said this in that video. It is an admission that there is no longer any further development in V8 technology, which is to say that they are pandering and placating the prevailing winds that are blowing around them. Take that for what you want. But the reality is that the enthusiast won't be looking at all at a Hemi-based platform. They'll be looking at maybe a hybrid. They'll be looking at an EV from Chevrolet. And hold on. Let's not get too ahead of ourselves. This is still originally Mopar Chat Live, right? So since Mustang is throwing their cards on the table for 2024, where's Mopar's offering? Oh, you got to wait till SEMA. You got to wait till SEMA. Something big's happening. Ooh, well, guess what? We've already lived through the stillborn absolute debacle of a release of an announcement of whatever passed for an announcement at Woodward. What are we looking forward to at SEMA? What are we looking forward to at SEMA? I'm not looking forward to anything from Dodge at SEMA. What are you going to do? What are you going to release? What's going to be amazing for that very last year Halo car you're going to send out into the world? I don't care. I could not care any less. I've got my Hellcat early release, birth dated November 19th, 2014, is still right over there. And for a long time will be the yardstick that other cars are measured against. But I got to tell you, it doesn't really stack up when you're talking about the last of the breed for these NA hot rods. But getting back to it, because I'm getting off track again, imagine that. What's Mopar going to release? I mean, granted, we're not even talking about Chevrolet. What's Dodge going to release? Is it going to be, hey guys, look, whoa, hey, everybody chill out. If I were Mopar, this would be me. Whoa, hey, holy mackerel. Yes, we saw it coming. We screwed that up. But this is what our new platform looks like. This is the new powertrain. It's going to be the new, hey, Sovereign, I just saw you pop up. Don't turn this into a political thing. So getting back to it, what are they going to show? What exactly are they going to show? You hope that it's going to be the next platform. Because if it's not, Think about this for a minute. If it's not, what would it be? Oh, a 900 horsepower Hellcat variant is that everybody sitting around talking about? One fast 2.9. Does anybody even remember what that's supposed to mean? I'm sorry, but it doesn't do me any good to see another fast supercharged variant of something that I'm not going to buy and that nobody can afford hundreds or whatever thousands of dollars later. No. I need to see something from Dodge at SEMA that gets me this riled up and this excited. I need to see something from Dodge that is going to get me this involved emotionally. Because I can tell you right now, if it ends up being we're introducing the last of the whatever, and it's going to be the fastest, fast is irrelevant these days. It's completely played out. And if you're talking about an internal combustion engine combination and you're selling it as fast nowadays, brother, you are way behind the 8 ball. In fact, you're so far behind, you're not even in the same building. EVs have got the market cornered on fast. That ship's gone up and sailed. But what I will tell you, again, is that I am not a microwave oven guy. I'm a grill it guy. And I'm not going to get emotionally involved over an EV. It just doesn't have the same, it just doesn't taste the same. It doesn't have that same bite, that same flavor. So if Mopar comes out at SEMA with an LX platform-based supercharged behemoth, then what's the point of all of the fancy new release cars? The Daytona King, the whatever. Start picking them because I've already run out of fucks to give about all the ones that they've been releasing. I don't care. It's embarrassing to watch this happen with all the marketing funds that went into those things. Some of development dollars could have gone into the 392 and made it 550 horsepower ish. Okay. Oh, yeah. And that reminds me of something else. You know what's funny about the new Mustang GT? Just also kind of as another aside. If you squint really hard, it kind of looks like a two-door Charger. I mean, let's be real. When you look at that thing, especially the Dark Horse in just the right angle, it's like, whoa, wait, that's kind of familiar. Anyway, I'm not saying it's 100% lock, and I'm not even saying it's 50%, but it just has a bit of the tinge of the familiar. But anyway, I don't really want to try to turn this into just a tongue bath for the Mustang GT. But I'm putting this in a perspective for you guys. I'm putting this out there so that it is known that those of us that are into American muscle cars, American pony cars, as much of a potentially, you can look at it as a fringe population that we may be. For those of us that are into them, this stuff is important. It's the lifeblood and it is the soul that makes that manufacturer, though. See, this is what manufacturers don't understand. This is where Mopar gets it so wrong, and you would think that they would have the greatest grasp of this. Granted, not every buyer is going into the showroom to buy a brand new Challenger or to buy a Mustang GT for that matter, Camaro, ZL1, SS, pick something that you like, okay? Not everybody's going in there to buy that, but when they go in there to look at cars and they see that car sitting on that showroom, that stirs them up. That stirs them up quite a bit. As a matter of fact, it stirs them up and it gets them excited about the brand. It gives the brand a certain panache. It gives the brand a certain youthful feel. So in saying all of that, when you walk into a Dodge dealership, what's going to turn you on? What's going to get you rolling? What's going to get you fired up? Is it the EV that's sitting on the showroom floor? This 0 to 60 in 3 seconds microwave oven that they're going to shove out there for you? What? No, it doesn't work like that. There is no soul to be spoken for in the EV. Dodge had proven that with that thing that they released to us in that announcement. You would think that Dodge, with the marketing that they throw down your throats, would have a strong understanding, would have the best understanding, at least from a propaganda standpoint, of how to make a buyer excited. Have the Hellcat in that showroom. Have that good looking Ram pickup truck in that showroom. Because you know that when they fire the thing up and the sound of it, it's like, man, just do me a favor, fire that thing up in the corner. I'd love to listen to it. Fire it up, sounds great. It's like, man, that is cool. Ain't nothing cool about an EV. It might put on a light show or something like that, but it's not cool. So when you look at that and when you see what's going on with that, and you realize that the release of any EV is just a placating of a current prevailing winds, and I'll be polite about that, then what that ends up telling me is that when you have, I don't know, another 5 years of Mustang internal combustion with all of the aftermarket support that's going to come with it, it gives me hope for the future for the enthusiast. It gives me hope for the future for the enthusiast, though, provided that you're driving a Mustang. Because, again, it's the end of the road for development. In fact, the end of the road for development for the 392 and the 5.7 basically came somewhere around 2017. A long time ago. And then Chevrolet is far removed from it in their own right. So, I mean, look at that. I mean, Camaro, 455 horse for the LT, and it has always and only been that power figure. But at least it hasn't been released since 2012 like the 392. With only one bump in, actually technically two, but on paper only one bump in power. And that was mainly because of a change in an OS, and yeah, they're not turning a power steering pump anymore, which really doesn't sap any power. So there's that to consider. But the reality is that we don't know what Dodge is going to bring out. Dodge is once again several days late. In fact, they're a couple of months late if you're going to wait for SEMA for their next release, in terms of getting their core fan base something to work with. Because let me remind everybody that it's not their core fan base buying Hellcats. It's not their core fan base that are buying Hellcats. Their core fan base are buying RT Challengers and Chargers and Scat Pack Challengers and Chargers. And that is the core fan base that they have shit all over coming into this latest release. It's the RT owners that have kept the brand alive. It is the Scat Pack owners that have given the brand street cred. The Hellcat owners, yeah, they get all the glory, but all the guts and grunt come from the 5.7 owners and the 6.4 owners. And yet they're the first ones that get squatted on by Mother Mopar when it comes to any level of support. And that extends all the way into, I don't know, the aftermarket, which won't have anything to do with Mopars. Even up to this day, they're just now tiptoeing into the Dodge game. LS has had strong support for what seems like and feels like forever. And of course, the Mustang, I don't know that you could have more support than what you get for the Mustang. So Dodge, thanks for nothing. Making us wait until SEMA to show us something is embarrassing. It's bad form. It's a little bit cowardly, frankly. Let me explain to you why I say cowardly. If you're going out like the way that the internal combustion is going out, and your next step is EV or hybridization, and you put out there that at this Woodward Dream Cruise event, Roadkill Nights event, we're going to have this big announcement, and we're going to tell you that we are all in for our folks, chest pumping, just, fist tapping. You get the idea. Only to have Dodge turn around and drop the kind of freaking marketing vomit bomb that they gave us. And then say, oh, you get to wait until SEMA to see what this other thing is, this thingamacontraption over here. And Ford, seeing this, knowing that the 650 has been in development now for about the last 2 years, rolls out and says, all right, I'm going to whip this thing out and lay it on the table with a thud. Check this out, folks. 5 bills, twin throttle bodies, about 3,800 pounds worth. Put that bitch on a drag pack, take it to the strip, and let me know what it runs. Probably going to be deep into the 11s. That ECU is going to get cracked quicker than 3-egg omelet, and they're going to have quite a few available tunes for that thing, probably by the time the ticking of the exhaust stops of that thing in, I don't know, any tuner's garage. With a tune, 93 octane, I think you're going to see these things potentially in the 10s. I think that they're going to be underrated or at least downrated. Meaning that, yes, you'll get the power once, but once cat over temp kicks in, you might not get that same number of power. But if you put a tune on it, wink, wink, you see where that's going. And it's not going to take long. Believe that. Oh, yeah. And since we're on the subject of hose, the Corvette, that little skank that is out there stinking up the world right now in terms of only having 455 horsepower. Hey, Corvette guy. Hey, let me ask you something. Whisper in here right quick. Are you worried? A little bit concerned? The average selling price of a C8 Corvette's just shy of $85,000. Just shy of $85,000. The Mustang's going to come in somewhere around 40. In other words, you could buy 2 Mustangs, one for you, one for your favorite cousin, and get out there and just have a hoot and a holler for the same cost as a Vette, and the Mustang might beat it. The Mustang just might give that Corvette all it can handle, what with 500 versus 455. There's a little bit of a difference in weight, but it doesn't really matter. We're talking 50 horsepower here. And a real automatic transmission with torque multiplication through that torque converter. Ooh, that's going to be a rough night. You ever seen a picture of a prolapsed asshole? Get ready, because there's a lot of Corvette owners that are going to have them, and I'm pretty sure they're going to be up for display before you know it. And I got another question for you Corvette owners. When the big bad wolf shows up to play, talking about that Z06, are you going to buy one Can you afford one? Embarrassing. But getting back to the Mustang GT, the harborer, the what I would call the grim reaper for the internal combustion engine, gonna whisk you off into the great unknown. But when we're talking about the last of the internal combustion engines, and now we're talking about the super uber vet, well, let's just talk about the regular C8 in general. I thought that was supposed to be the top of the food chain. Maybe not. Don't know. And the other side of it is, oh, Ted said in the C8 495. Is it 495? I haven't seen one run a number that would indicate that if it was rated at 495, it was. And if I'm wrong about that number, let me just say this. Lots of Corvettes that I see at the drag strip get scalded by stock scat packs on drag radials. So if it is 495, that's the most embarrassing deployment of 495 horsepower ever, making the new Mustang's performance even that much more impressive, or at least the scat packs that much more by design. But I have to think about, what does this new Mustang mean for the enthusiast moving forward? What does it mean for the Mustang enthusiast to know that they've got the last word in this internal combustion lineage, timeline, or whatever? And I'm sure that the guys that are all touting the EVs and swearing up and down by the EVs and of drinking the Kool-Aid, as much of it as they can stomach, I wonder where they're going to be in 6 or 8 or 10 years when their batteries are failing, that their cost of replacement is astronomical, that the prospect of recycling a battery that's made out of one of the twitchiest elements out there, lithium, when you get it wet or expose it to, even in some cases, wet air can react. And when it reacts, it's a violent exothermic decomposition that basically is a long-handed way of saying it fucking explodes. That's why you can't put water on an EV fire, because water accelerates the exothermic decomposition of lithium. You just have to let the damn thing burn itself out. So when all of that is taking place, and a lot of folks start to go, well, we're going to start moving maybe back towards internal combustion. Maybe that's a good opportunity for everybody else that was an also-ran to get back into the party. But I'll take it a step farther than that. See, I'm going to come back around to this whole Mopar thing. I'm not going to let this get too far away from Mopar, even though this is Mustang Chat Live. Let me ask you something. If Dodge does the right thing, if Dodge does the right thing and is going to show the next generation platform, who knows? Maybe it does have a V8. But if Dodge shows the next generation platform, and if it's an, I'm just saying, putting this out there, Hurricane hybrid combination, or just a Hurricane combination in general, are you a player? Are you? See, I gotta say something that for some Mustang fans is gonna resonate a little bit. I'm still shocked that the 3.5 liter EcoBoost never made it into a Mustang. I'm surprised that not only did the 3.5 liter EcoBoost not make it into a Mustang, but that Ford stayed with the V8, or at least kept developing the V8, as opposed to developing and deploying the 3.5 liter V6 in that car. I mean, it really kind of goes against the grain of logic when you think about it from a power perspective. Oh, that's right. I forgot. Because Ford's interested in what their core enthusiasts want. That's why they did it. Just like Ford back in 1996 decided not to use the Probe GT as the new Mustang and sent out the SN95 instead. Just saying. But getting back to the question, because I'm so easily sidetracked, as you guys well know, what would you be interested in as the power plant for what could be the next platform if they show it at SEMA? Again, lots of ifs. You've got to really carve this thing up like Boston Market to get down to like the what's it gonna be in reality. But it's fun to play let's make a guess, right? Inline six with hybrid could be kind of nasty. If they release the 500 horse Hurricane and they pair it up with a 200 horsepower hybrid contraption system. HP, I forget what it is, but I know that HP does have a hybrid style transmission that would go really well with that combination. Would you be a player? Would that be something you would be interested in? Take it down a notch. Would you be interested in that 500 horse inline six in a car that maybe only weighs 3,800 pounds? Something kind of in lockstep with that Mustang? Would you? Would you be a player with that? Could you stomach it? Could you bring it to your heart? Could you bring it to your love nest to believe that Dodge, the maker of the car that stood on the far other side of the bookend, that gave you the big American muscle car with the big American V8, that wasn't a player against the Mustang, but had its own niche market just like the Mustang has its, to know that they went from that to now a pony car instead, which it would be. Would you be interested? Would you be in on it? What would you think about that? How would that play for you? I mean, it would be the Dodge Camaro, wouldn't it? Call it what you will, but it was basically what it would be. And everybody say, no, it's a CUDA. What the fuck is a CUDA? The funny thing about people talking about what Dodge's competition for the Mustang is going to be is that you don't even know what to call it. Think about that for a minute. CUDA? Why would you even call it that? Well, I guess because it was the smaller, shorter version of the Challenger, but it was never really an also ran with the Mustang. The Challenger and the CUDA, if you want to call it that as well, was always a direct line of sight competition historically to the Mercury Cougar, not to the Mustang. It was always a bigger car, just like the Cougar is. So getting back to that, what do you do with this new platform? If it's what it is, and again, we're playing let's make a guess here. But if it is that new platform, are you in? What would you be excited for? Another V8? Maybe a dual overhead cam V8? Maybe they go that different direction like they did in the 80s, where Dodge went the ways of the prevailing wind, although that was a dead end. 2.2 liter turbo, ring a bell, 2.5 followed it. But you had the Omni GLH, the Daytona twin turbo. They had gray imports like the Conquest, which would have been the Mitsubishi Starion. Very cool car, by the way. The Dodge 600 and the like. These cars were cars that competed against early in their releases. These are cars that competed against the Camaros and the Mustangs of their day. Back in those days, by the way, a typical V8 only made about 150 horsepower. So a lighter weight front drive platform making a little bit less power didn't really suffer by comparison because it had the chops when it came to a power to weight ratio. Later on, you had stuff like the Sprint RT, The 2.2 liter grew to 2.5 liter, and just the normal progression of things. Cars got a little bit faster, but the reality is that they were all kind of in the same boat anyway as their contemporary V8 dance partners were in. So maybe Dodge uses that same formula, potentially going down another dead end, but you never know. They didn't know it then, and really they weren't dead end cars. They were really cool cars and offered up an alternative driving experience to what was already something that was familiar anyway. It brought a little bit more of a uniqueness to the brand, something that was actually pretty cool. And I distinctly remember doing very long smoky front wheel drive burnouts with my 600 turbo. But that's beside the point, isn't it really? Would you buy one? Would you see it from that perspective? Or would you look at the Mustang and go, listen, bald guy, I know what you're trying to say, but this ain't 1984. And far from it, the Mustang's making 500 horsepower. Well, my response to that is, yeah, well, so is the Hurricane. And it would be doing so with an all aluminum construction, and it would be fairly light, and it works well when you talk about the narrative of hybridization. Damn it. But you can hybridize a Coyote too. Okay. So what do you do next? Anyway, if the idea is that they're going to follow that level of, or follow that chain of events, chain of thought rather, then maybe, just maybe, it might be the next neat car. Maybe it's lightweight, maybe it's quick, fast, whatever the case is, easy to make a hybrid out of, what have you. Or just like Kaniskis said, you were witnessing the demise in 2024 of the L platform with a V8. Does that mean the new platform, which has a designation of, I don't even know what it would be, will have a V8? Does it mean that no cars will have a V8 and only the trucks will have the V8? Hey, Ram owners, where are you at in all this? I may have gotten the last iteration of a 5.7, right? With Stormy. The point of all of this, guys, is the Mustang comes out on top, the winner by attrition. And despite what you might think about the car, whether you like it or you don't, the fact of the matter is that we don't know what's coming from the other manufacturers realistically. They haven't shown us anything. Anybody that says that they have an inside track to whatever Dodge is doing has been wrong. And I mean wrong to the tune of about half the time they're not getting like any of the details right. The other half of the time, they're getting some of the details right, so at least you get credit for that. We don't know what Dodge is coming out with, and we won't know anything until SEMA. So because of that, because of the complete lack of hype behind Dodge and the complete disappointment tsunami that was Roadkill Nights and Woodward Dream Cruise, what are we supposed to do with this? Well, if you're a new car enthusiast and you love technology and you love you some internal combustion, boy, howdy, do I have the car for you. Because one of the things about that Mustang that I haven't talked about or that I haven't just gushed over, aside from the fact that the engine is freaking awesome, the styling of that car, again, to me is, I mean, dude, it's a damn good looking car. Tough looking sumbitch. Y'all seen the screens in that thing? The software and the hardware that's used for the screen platforms, which basically looks like something out of a sci-fi freaking show, is all gaming technology. The stuff is unbelievably kick-ass. And it leaves everything else that everybody else is doing in the dust. In fact, it's so much better that it gives you, although this is like a false association, Unreal Gaming Engine. Thank you, Sovereign. It gives you this added sense of advancement with that technology. It gives you an added sense of fit, of finish, of forethought into what the type of buyer for that car is going to be looking for. Gary, thank you very much. Thank you. Late to the party. Thanks again for the chat. Thank you, brother. I appreciate the contribution, my friend. Talking internal combustion tonight. All Mustang all the time. But the fact is that car is the youth market. It ties legacy enthusiasts to the youth market. It's got the right gadgets and gizmos to keep the youth oriented, whether young or young at heart, entertained and captivated. Dodge ain't doing that. Chevy can't do that. Embarrassment that they are right now. Jeez, freaking we. Hey, listen, and bottoms up to the Chevy guys, by the way. Jeez. And yeah, you're right earlier about that 495. I don't know why I kept saying 455. I think I got the C7 stuck in my head for some reason. But you're right about the 495, but I think I'm right too about that poor deployment of that 495 horsepower. You know, it's funny. The last vet that I saw that had no modifications run at the drag strip ran an 11. What did that damn thing run? I think it ran an 1170 at 118 miles an hour. Is that what it ran? Yeah, like an 1170 at 118. Had a high mile an hour. $118. Yeah, 118 miles an hour, I believe what it ran. That ain't going to get it cut. That ain't going to cut it. Anyway, back to the Mustang. 11-inch in front of the driver, 12-inch basically hanging off to the side, doing whatever. It looks like you're sitting in a movie theater when you're sitting in this car. It's unbelievably trick. And again, it's got the gadgets, gizmos, and contraptions to keep the young and the young at heart engrossed. And these are contraptions that bring you into the driving experience, that give you the data that you need as a driver right there at your fingertips in an extremely cool and attractive platform. Nobody else is doing that. And again, this is a situation where not only did Ford move forward with the internal combustion engine as it is, which they didn't have to do. Remember that. They didn't have to do it. Ford, let me remind you guys, has given the Coyote platform roughly 20% more power since it was released in 2011. You cannot say the same for Camaro at all. And you can't say the same at all for the 392. Lack of development, complacency. Complacency is easy to pick up on. Complacency is a trait that is a disease. It's something that is extremely hard to get over as a manufacturer. If you yourself find yourself complacent with something, it means that you are extremely hard to get moving in any one direction. That's the problem with Mopar, where Ford kept developing and kept pressing forward and kept looking for ways to make more power. Dodge kept pressing and moving forward and looking for ways to make more money, to basically take the same tooling and keep churning out the same product with no innovation over and 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 over again, rinse and repeat. Ford was taking those profit dollars and reinvesting them into the company to bring you something amazing. And they brought it to you in an amazing way, like normal, not some overhyped 3-day stroke fest that was a complete and total disaster in terms of marketing and brand confidence. You know how many people came away from that release just wanting to freaking throw up all over their kids? Like, seriously. Everybody that I talked to about that thing that Dodge did at that Dream Cruise, Roadkill Nights, leading into Woodward, which was bad taste enough as it was. You know, everything that they did with that was wrong. Wrongly done, wrongly thought through, poorly executed. So what do? Well, we look to Ford to set the example. Jesus, did I just say that? Did I just say look to Ford to set the example with class? With class. I did say that. With dignity. Said that too. With innovation. With an understanding of their clientele, both young, old, young at heart, young traditionalists. They all got a piece of this. That's what you need to do, Dodge. Stop trying to be cute. Stop trying to be cheeky. Nobody likes it anymore. You're getting your ass handed to you. And it's on a trash can lid. Save the silver platters for the dark horse. Because when that thing shows up to the party, it's going to be a completely different story in terms of ass kicking. Not because of what it will be able to do from the factory, but what it will be able to do once the aftermarket gets a hold of it. Because remember, the dark horse is just the Coyote with forged internals. A couple of other doodads here and there, but it is the Coyote with beefed up internals. Read between the lines, Mopar. And yeah, it's going to be more expensive. But holy shit. When it comes to potential, when it comes to what to watch out for, that car is going to be disturbingly strong. So in saying all of that, in saying every bit of that, I don't think that Dodge is going to be releasing something that a lot of people are going to get behind. I think that Dodge was judging the reaction of the Woodward Dream Cruise. I think Dodge, or the Roadkill Nights Dodge 3 days of WTF, mate. I think that's how they should have labeled it. First day W, second day T, last day F. I think that would have at least thrown a little bit of humanity into that freaking dumpster fire that they put out there for us to consume. But this is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking they were judging that, and I'm thinking they're looking at that and they're realizing, yeah, probably didn't strike the right chord. You talk about being completely out of tune. That whole thing couldn't have been any more out of tune. So, Ford, I got to hand it to you. Great job, unbelievable execution, fantastic follow through. Looking forward to see just how well this new Mustang runs, how well it performs in all sorts of different venues, drag strip, street venue, road course, in other words. I'm not thinking it's going to be too far removed from where the S550 is now. And of course, the performance isn't going to be that far and away removed from what you're seeing already, except it's just going to be augmented. And it will be, well, if nothing else, the next carrier of the flag for the internal combustion engine. Guys, I'm excited for this car because of the styling. It's got some things that really do tug at heartstrings for guys that, you know, grew up around the GT500s back in the 2010s. With the hood vent, that's a huge deal. For the guys that are looking for that kind of muscular, haunched up looking car, Mustang has moved forward with that, whereas Dodge basically hadn't done anything but put a set of bushwhackers on their cars. And I mean, don't get me wrong, they're great looking bushwhacking things, but I mean, the car itself hasn't changed. To me at this point, Dodge is just basically trying to milk this cash grab for all that they can, try to get the most that they can out of their tooling, which, hey, it's on. I would probably be doing the same from a business standpoint as well. Stellantis has got them by the balls, all right? And that is absolutely evident by just the, I mean, I'll go back to saying it again, guys. I was sitting there watching Racer X's video, and I felt like, God, somebody just needs to yell out to Tim, "Hey Tim, blink twice if like, are you okay? Just blink. Do you need to be saved?" Because it's obvious that Stellantis was pulling his strings like a puppet. I know that Dodge doesn't like the direction that they're going in. I know that Dodge doesn't like what they are being, in essence, forced to do. It's their parent company. This is what they want to do to the brand. What I love about Ford is that they are not beholden to any other entity other than the American, well, you would think anyway, the American muscle car, pony car enthusiast. At least that's what they would have you believe, because they are catering to the enthusiast in ways that other manufacturers could only beg for. That's why Ford has some of the absolute strongest following that's out there. And that's probably also why the Mopar loyalists, once the Challenger and Charger are off the table, do you go back to it? I don't know that you do. That it being Dodge. I mean, yeah, you can always buy the things used, but if you can't get a new one, is the soul gone? You know, some would say, you know, well, when the muscle car era ended, when the muscle car era died, so did the soul of the American muscle car, leading up to whenever you want to call the beginning of the American muscle car era, the second wave of it anyway. Well, I got news for you guys. There's always going to be hot rodders. There's always going to be people that want to make something go faster than what it was from the factory. And it doesn't matter what that thing is. Cars, motorcycles, pickup trucks, it don't matter. Boats, jet skis. If it's got an engine, people are going to try to make it go fast. That's what we do. Even if it has an electric motor, we'll try to figure out how to make it haul ass. But I'll tell you this, for the true enthusiast, that internal combustion can't be beat. For the true enthusiast, the internal combustion is the only thing that they're interested in. Again, don't want my burger nuked. I want it grilled. So, what will Dodge come out to answer the Mustang with? Don't know. They're so slow getting to the punch that I'm afraid that Mustang may have already won the fight and Dodge just could be falling to the mat. They're just not picking up on the fact that they're unconscious at this point. Because you would think that they would have been rolling through all of this unconsciously. Wouldn't you? I mean, wouldn't you at least agree to that? You know, Chuck brings up a good point that Challengers and Chargers, Challengers in particular, are outselling Mustangs. And yet they're going to kill the cash cow. It's proof that the market may not be able to dictate what the market buys, which is kind of scary when you think about it. Last I checked, market wanted something and you made it, market bought it, then you're good. Ford, hats off to you. Guys, I'm going to wrap it up at this point. Hate that I didn't get a chance to get to you, but this live is really more about me putting out there what my thoughts are. Again, expanding upon the My Thoughts video of that new Mustang. Next live show is going to be a lot more interactive, so catch me on the next one, probably Tuesday is what it's looking like. But I want to leave you guys with this. Remember that when Dodge does release this whatever contraption that it's going to be at SEMA, whatever it is, whether it's the new platform or just some iteration of whatever the thing is going to be coming from Dodge, if it's some Hellcat variant of the current just call it LX platform, that'll let you know where Dodge is in terms of their connection with the true enthusiast. If they give you, in other words, they'll be disconnected so far and away that they're just giving you another special edition, which I'm already sick of talking about those. I'm sick of looking at them because it reeks of a level of arrogance on the part of Dodge that I just can't get to right now. We'll get to that on the next live show. But if they show the new platform and they show something interesting, hats off to them, support them. Let's see where we can take this. But until then, we can only speculate. Guys, I got to wrap it up. Listen, y'all have a great one. Love each and every one of you guys. Would not do this without you. Get out there and do something cool for somebody. Chances are they need it way more than you know. And guys, we will catch you on the next one. That's a wrap. Adios.